Alcatraz, the Rock. For nearly 3 decades, it was the ultimate symbol of American justice. A maximum security fortress situated in the middle of San Francisco Bay, designed with one singular purpose: to be entirely inescapable. If you broke the rules on the outside, you went to prison. But if you broke the rules in prison, you went to Alcatraz. It housed the most dangerous criminals in the country, from Al Capone to Machine Gun Kelly. The prison itself wasn't the only deterrent. Even if an inmate managed to breach the steel bars, the concrete walls, and the armed guards, they were met with 1.5 miles of freezing, treacherous, and shark-infested ocean currents. The official record states that no one ever successfully escaped Alcatraz. But in the summer of 1962, 3 men challenged that record. Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin vanished into the night. The FBI officially claims they drowned, but today, more than 60 years later, the United States Marshals Service still has active, open warrants for their arrest. This is the story of the greatest prison break in American history. Every great escape requires a mastermind, and for this operation, that was Frank Morris. An orphan with an exceptionally high IQ, Morris had spent his entire life bouncing in and out of the penal system. He wasn't just a criminal, he was an escape artist who had already broken out of several other prisons. He was joined by John and Clarence Anglin, 2 brothers from Georgia who were serving time for bank robbery. They were resourceful, incredibly tight-knit, and like Morris, they had a history of trying to break out of jail. By late 1961, the 3 men found themselves housed in adjacent cells. Together, they noticed a critical flaw in the architecture of the Rock. At the back of each cell was a small ventilation grate measuring just 6 by 9 inches. Behind those grates lay an unguarded, 3-foot-wide utility corridor. If they could get through the concrete, that corridor led directly to the roof of the cell block. It was the only weakness in the entire fortress, and they were going to exploit it. What makes the Alcatraz escape legendary isn't just the sheer audacity of it, but the engineering. They couldn't smuggle in heavy tools, so they made their own. Over the course of 6 months, they stole spoons from the dining hall and scavenged discarded metal. Every single night during the prison's dedicated music hour, Morris would loudly play his accordion to cover the sound of the Anglin brothers chipping away at the concrete around their ventilation grates. To hide their progress from the guards who patrolled the block, they manufactured incredibly realistic fake grates out of cardboard and painted them with stolen art supplies. But getting out of the cell was only step 1. They needed a way to buy time. If the guards noticed they were missing during the night checks, the island would be locked down instantly. So the team created one of the most famous decoys in criminal history: dummy heads. Using soap, toilet paper, and cement dust, they sculpted remarkably human-looking heads. They even visited the prison barbershop, sneaking out handfuls of real human hair to glue onto the dummies. The final piece of the puzzle was the water. They knew the freezing currents of the San Francisco Bay would kill them in minutes. So, using over 50 stolen military-issue raincoats, they secretly stitched and glued together a 6 by 14-foot inflatable raft and custom life preservers. On the night of June 11, 1962, the lights went out in B Block. It was time. Morris and the Anglin brothers placed the dummy heads on their pillows, pulled the blankets up, and squeezed through the holes they had chipped in the walls. They climbed the plumbing pipes inside the utility corridor, ascending 30 feet to the ceiling of the cell block. Prying open a roof ventilator, they slipped out into the cold, foggy San Francisco night. They crept across the roof, avoiding the blinding sweep of the guard tower searchlights, and scaled down a massive smokestack to reach the ground. They made their way to the blind spot on the island's northeast shore. Using an accordion modified to act as a bellows, they inflated their raincoat raft, stepped into the freezing, pitch-black water, and paddled into the fog. They were never seen again. At 7:15 a.m. the next morning, the guards conducted their routine wake-up count. When an officer reached his baton through the bars to poke the sleeping John Anglin, The dummy head rolled off the pillow and crashed onto the concrete floor. The alarm sounded. Alcatraz went into total lockdown. What followed was one of the largest manhunts in American history. The FBI, the Coast Guard, and local police scoured the bay and the surrounding mainland. In the days that followed, searchers found fragments of the raincoat raft, a homemade wooden paddle, and a plastic bag containing the Anglin's personal photos washed up on Angel Island. But they never found the men. After 17 years of chasing dead ends, the FBI officially closed the case in 1979. Their final conclusion? The raft failed. The men were swept out to the Pacific Ocean by the violent tides, and they drowned. Case closed. But that isn't the end of the story. While the FBI gave up, the United States Marshals Service refused to close the file. In fact, their investigation remains active to this very day, and they have gathered compelling evidence that the official story might be completely wrong. For decades, the Anglin family claimed they received unsigned Christmas cards and postcards from South America. Then, a photograph surfaced. Taken in Brazil in 1975, it allegedly shows John and Clarence Anglin standing on a farm. Modern facial recognition experts analyzed the photo and concluded it is highly likely the men in the picture are the escaped brothers. But the most shocking piece of modern evidence arrived in 2013. The San Francisco Police Department received a handwritten letter. It read, "My name is John Anglin. I escaped from Alcatraz in June 1962 with my brother Clarence and Frank Morris. I'm 83 years old and in bad shape. I have cancer. Yes, we all made it that night, but barely." The letter continued with an incredible offer. "If you announce on TV that I will be promised to first go to jail for no more than a year and get medical attention, I will write back to let you know exactly where I am." This is no joke. The FBI took the letter seriously. They tested it for fingerprints, DNA, and handwriting matches. The results were officially inconclusive, meaning they couldn't definitively prove it was him, but they also couldn't rule it out as a fake. Today, Alcatraz is a national park, a tourist attraction where millions of people walk past the very cells that Morris and the Anglin brothers dug their way out of. The U.S. Marshals have stated they will continue to hunt for the men until they are proven dead or until they turn 99 years old. So, did the freezing waters of the San Francisco Bay claim the lives of the only men to ever break out of America's ultimate fortress? Or did three convicts pull off the perfect crime, vanishing into South America and outsmarting the FBI for over half a century?